Welcome to the Successful Life Podcast. I'm your host, Corey Berrier. Have you ever felt like there just is not enough time in the day? It feels like you never get everything done. At least that's how it feels for me. And look, as a business owner, I've been right where you are. Like I've been where you are with the struggle, the constant putting out fires. And it's really hard to have time to focus. So here's what I've discovered recently. And I've talked about this several times on here. Chat GPT and this new software, behavior sales AI software. It's unbelievable. It is an absolute game changer, period. So I don't know if you dug into this yet. I don't know if you've used Chat GPT yet. Look, I'm telling you right now, this is where the future is going. I promise you. This thing has taken off like wildfire, like a raging wildfire. And here's what I found for me personally. Like, as many, I have ADHD. And so sometimes for me, which is one of the reasons that I don't do a lot of posts, is because it's really hard to get out of my head onto paper what I'm trying to say. And so what this Chat GPT does for me gives me the ability to say what I need to say, not sound like a D-bag, and it just makes more sense. And it's how I would want to say it in my head, but for whatever reason, I can't get it on paper. And I don't know if it's just me or maybe you struggle with any of that stuff. It's really interesting because lots of times you'll get this, you see things 5 or 6 steps ahead of where most people are. And at the end of the day, like it's really hard sometimes to even explain those things. And what this Chat GPT does, by the way, I don't sell Chat GPT, so I'm not here to sell you on I am here to sell you why you need this, but I don't make any money doing this. But I think here's what I do know. If you're a contractor and you want to remain competitive, you're going to want to use this Chat GPT and this behavioral sales AI software. If you're a home services company and you're listening to this and you think AI is just a fancy word for artificially inflated ego, you might want to consider a career change, because while you're stuck in the past, your competitors are using this AI powered software and they're going to crush you, because this software has the ability just about to do anything you can imagine. And I know that's a really broad statement, but I'm going to give you an example. My buddy Ben, who built this software, has created a spot or created an opportunity inside of the software, where you can literally punch in the topic, right? Or whatever it is you want to write about, and it will build out 30 days worth of posts and content for you with hashtags, with the information below it, with whatever, all of it. Dude. And it's all SEO driven, right? It's all pulled from SEO. Like, it's this one tool inside of there is worth $250 a month. I promise you. Just that one thing. And that's like a side thing. Heck, he just built that over the last week or so. And here's what's nuts. Every single week, almost every single day, he's doing things better with this software. And it's every day, it's just getting better and better. And that is what you need to think about when you think about Chat GPT, when you think about this machine learning like software or Chat GPT, the website. it learns how you talk to the program, right? It's machine learning, so it builds on top of the things that you've already asked it. And what's interesting about that is that you get so many different perspectives. It really gives you the ability to, well, for me, it gives me the ability to see what I want to say in like normal terminology. I don't know if that made any sense whatsoever. Probably not. So, look, being able to read emotion on a phone call. So I'm going to give you an example. Imagine you have, of course, you probably have CSRs. Let's just say you've got 15 CSRs. You got a dispatch person, you've got whoever in the office, you've got 20 techs, whatever it is, probably more than that. So imagine if I could show you how your employees are emotionally. Now, you might be thinking I'm talking about personality, disc profile, personality types. It's not what I'm talking about. All that stuff's wrapped into this. But what I'm talking about is being able to listen, not even listen, to read a report that will tell you if the call was good, if your employee was good on the phone, or was she sad, or was she upset, or was she confusing. Then we look at the customer, right? It's all in one thing. And we can tell when the customer loses interest, or when they gain interest, or when the CSR may have said something that turned the customer off, right? Maybe the CSR decided to say something like, "Oh, did you watch the Super Bowl last night? Go Eagles." And maybe I didn't watch the Super Bowl, so I don't even know who won, nor do I care. But let's just pretend it's the Eagles. If you make that statement to someone and they're not an Eagles fan, and they're whoever the Eagles played last night, then that call is going to go sideways, right? It's something as stupid as bringing up a football game because you think everybody watched the Super Bowl. If you brought that up to me, I'd be like, I don't know what you're talking about, because I don't know. I don't know what happened. I don't care. It's just, to me, sitting in front of a television for 4 hours seems like, don't get me wrong, I've done it years ago, but like, I got a lot of shit to do. I don't have time to sit there and watch a bunch of dudes tear each other's head off in commercials and being fed. Okay, I'm getting off on it. But look, customers today demand instant support, personalized recommendations. And contractors that fail to do this, fail to meet those demands, you're going to need help to retain the customers and attract new ones, right? Look, a lot of people want to sell their company. Yeah, Ishmael, I was just talking about this the other day on a couple of episodes ago. By the way, that one with Al Levy was just dope. You need to go and watch that, or yeah, you can watch it on YouTube, you watch it wherever, and listen to it, obviously. Well, so it's like this. This is okay. I'm going to give you a great example. And you're probably my age, or maybe you're a little bit older than me. Who knows how old you are? I've got all kinds of ranges in here in my audience. By the way, appreciate you listening. So here's the example I'm going to give you. So remember in 1980 something, the CD, the CD player came out. Dude, I was so young. And I remember my dad having this. Well, it was badass at the time. It was so cool because it had speakers and a console. It was huge, and it had a 5-disc player, and it looked like Elon Musk's rocket ship at that time. This thing was just like the craziest thing we'd ever seen. And now I'm talking to you 25, 30 years later, maybe longer than that, about this technology. So imagine if you didn't listen to people when they said, hey, CDs are coming, music's not going to be sold on tapes anymore. And you're like, never happened. right? They're never going to get rid of tapes. Well, we know that they did. So imagine if you're that record store that says, we're just going to keep rolling like this because our customers want tapes. We have asked them what they want, and they don't want to mess with this new technology. They don't want to learn it. They don't want to understand it. They don't want to do anything. Dude. Or like a movie store, for God's sakes. Like when Netflix came out, you should have got out of business, right? You went out of business. But you probably held on thinking that they weren't going to last. Newsflash, the digital age is here. It's not going anywhere. And as many younger people that we have coming up, this stuff's getting better. But this AI machine learning is next level. But here's the catch. You got to understand how to ask it the right questions. And I'm going to go ahead and tell you, if you ask it something stupid political stuff, it's going to give you a one-sided answer. So don't use it for stuff like that, because who cares, right? Just you're wasting time looking up people on the political spectrum and seeing what ChatGPT says about them. Although it did say some good shit about me, which was cool. Anyway, actually, it was a really dope description, believe it or not. I was pretty impressed. So, if you ask it a question, and look, you can't ask it anything you really can't ask it anything out of line. You can't ask it anything about anything sexual. Can't ask it anything about pornography, none of that shit, because it flags it, right? And it'll kick you out. It will boot you out of that program. And I'm going to tell you, once you get into this, it is the last thing you're going to want to do is get kicked out of it. So either way, my point here is you have got to get on this train. If you don't, I promise you, you're going to be left behind. I have dug so deep into this. I understand it as much as an individual could understand it at this point. And so you're probably going to get frustrated when you go to try and work with this, not the behavioral sales software, but ChatGPT. By the way, the behavioral sales software uses ChatGPT. So I'm not sure if I said that. So you're looking at a technology that's going to revolutionize the home services space. Like, I'm telling you right now, it is going to change the entire game for home services. You may not believe me, and you don't have to believe me. And look, if I were you, I probably wouldn't believe me either, but I promise you, you're going to remember this conversation. You're going to remember this podcast, because I'm telling you right now, this is the dopest thing I've ever seen. It's incredible. It's absolutely incredible. And look, a lot of people are against this because they think, well, it's going to put whoever out of a job. You need to stop thinking that way. You need to start thinking about, how can I learn how to get on this new technology? How can I be the one that doesn't sleep on this? How can I do that? You got to reach out to somebody like me. I'm not going to teach you how to use ChatGPT, but I could certainly talk to you about the software. And Ben can talk to you about the software. But look, I'm telling you right now, the first adopters to this, you are going to crush the market. Like, we're just now finishing out building out the whole home services platform. I know if I've ever told you anything, you need to listen to this, because this software will change your business. It will change your life and your business. It gives you more human data than human beings could ever give you. And is it a little bit scary? Yes, it is. But I want to be on the side of scary, of knowing what the scary is, right? Or knowing what the possibilities of being whatever. You get it. So you could be on one side of this, or you could be on the other, right? You can rest on your laurels and not take action. But I don't think that's you. I think you are an action taker. I think you're an action taker because you listen to this show and I give you actionable stuff to do. And if you weren't an actionable person, there's zero chance you'd be watching this or listening to this, whichever one you're doing. So, you really want to look, if you're a home service business owner and you're still manually following up with leads, for example, it's time to automate your sales process because you're wasting time and losing money. While you're playing catch up, your competitors are using this AI software. While you're sitting there thinking, well, I don't know about this stuff. I got to dig into it more. I got to understand it. Dude, you'll be left behind. I promise you, it's going to be, hey, you don't have to listen to me, but I'm just telling you right now, if you are an action taker and actually want to implement this in your business, you need to reach out to me because, dude, we are getting ready to explode. And therefore, my time is very limited. I've had to limit my projects. I've had to limit my clients because I'm not going to sleep on this. And you don't need to sleep on this because if you do, this is kind of like the .com boom. Like you should have bought Google stock or whatever it was then, but you didn't. You waited, right? You waited until the stock went berserk and said, man, I thought about buying that stock. Hey, wifey, you remember that time we thought about buying that stock? We'd have $480 million today if we'd have done that. Yep, that's because you slept on the opportunity. And you might sleep on this opportunity. And look, I'm telling you this. I don't sell you hard on this show. And I guess I am trying to sell you hard because I know for a fact it will change your life and your business. It will make your life better. Zero chance it will not make your life better. Dude, we can give you data points on anything you want. You're not going to find this anywhere else. And I'm the person that has the ability to sell it to every home service company in the United States for now. We are going to take this internationally. It's going to be all over the world because it's so unbelievably sophisticated as far as what it does for you. It's not hard to work. It's not sophisticated for you to use. The behavioral software is not it's so sophisticated you can't use it. In fact, it's very user-friendly. If I can do it, being ADHD, you certainly can do it. It's kind of like a crystal ball, right? It's like a crystal ball and you're still using a magic 8-ball, right? That's the difference in what this is. What you're doing is you're shuffling around that 8-ball, that stupid 8-ball that we had as kids. Meanwhile, I've got a crystal ball. Now, which one do you think is going to work out better for us? I'm pretty sure we both know the answer for that. So I know it's frustrating putting out fires. It is one of the hardest things that you have to do and try to control. This will help solve that problem for you. But Corey, how is that going to solve my employee problem? How is this stupid software going to help me get my people here on time? Well, we can, I don't know about getting them on time. That's your fault if you're not getting them there on time because you obviously don't set the precedent or you don't set the standard, right? That should be something that you implement just as well as your employees. I know you get frustrated with having to keep up with employees. And I know you probably even get frustrated with trying to hire employees right now because it's hard. So people say, but Tommy Miller hires 50 people a month. So I don't know. But Tommy Miller is a different breed, right? He's a different type of guy. And so if you don't know how to do some of these things, go listen to his podcast, dude. He talks about it all the time, how he does things. And we're going to work with Tommy. We've already been talking to Tommy. I haven't talked to him personally, but we've texted. And not that any of that matters, but what I'm saying is, if a guy like Tommy Mello says, I need to set up a time to meet with you, I don't know. Seems like pretty positive thing. In fact, I haven't had anybody say, nah, I'm going to pass on that deal. I'm going to pass on having a meeting to learn about this software. And we were able to analyze 8,000 calls without a call recording. Just text. That's it. How valuable is that? How valuable is that information? What we're in the process of doing, it will be done today, is analyze. So we've had the calls analyzed, and we're getting the calls back today. Took us less than a day to literally go through all of the. We didn't go through the AI goes through the calls, and look, this stuff's not easy, by the way. I don't expect you to really know about this stuff and I really don't know about it, but evidently there's a lot of money and a lot of time that it takes to. So, for example, I sent the 8,000 calls to him, right? And what they did is they analyzed the sentiment analysis, tonality, linguistics. What we're going to be able to show is the emotion on both the CSR and the customer. How crazy would that be for you to have a running, just imagine this is like a plugin, like an extension on your Chrome page. And it would tell you how the emotion on your calls in your call center or in your for your employees, it will tell you immediately as soon as they hang up the phone how the call went. How would that help your business if you knew Sally came in not in the best mood? She probably went out and got hammered last night, slept over at some dude's house, and got up a little bit late, and she's feeling rough today. She's hungover. She stayed up most of the night with this dude. And so Sally is burning calls. But you wouldn't know that because your CSR manager, in air quotes, is paying attention to all that stuff. Well, the CSR manager doesn't have a clue how to measure the emotion for Sally. She doesn't have a clue how to pick up on body language. She's never been taught that, he or she. They've never been taught how to interact with the employees. Most don't get that kind of training unless you've worked with me. And so you got to understand that as the owner, I know you're probably thinking right now, Corey, we record our calls, dude. We got somebody that checks it. And you might think that. You absolutely might think that. But I'm here to tell you, I'm 95% sure you're dead ass wrong. Because if your employee was listening to all the calls, she'd be there all day and night. Right? You can't physically afford to pay someone the amount of money it would cost you to analyze every single call. And they also would not be able to give you the information that I can give you, even if they did analyze the call, because they're not looking for emotion. They're not looking for that sentiment analysis. They're not looking for how the tonality and the linguistics are coming through. They don't know any of that. They just know that Sally didn't book the call. And that's the extent of it. Or Sally screwed the call up or burned the call or whatever. So then what happens? Well, it depends on your CSR manager. It depends on who sees Sally burning these calls. Most likely, whoever your CSR manager is, maybe they like Sally. They're like, Sally got hammered last night. She hung out with that dude. She probably shouldn't have done that, but she had a lot of fun. So today, I'm going to let her slide, right? Today, I'm just going to take it easy on her. I'm not going to get on her case about burning calls. That happens. You do realize, as those words are coming out of my mouth, you absolutely are having that happen inside of your company. Just letting you know. I'm just letting you know. This software solves that issue because the software will tell you if Sally's emotional on the call. It'll tell you if she said something to piss the customer off. It'll tell you if she said something to make the customer happy, because we'll show you how the customer's profile looks, because we analyze them both at the same time, and it comes out as two different profiles. And so it's easy to see exactly what happened inside the call. And guess what? When it shows you the graph, or whatever you want to call it, it's not a graph, but I don't really know what it's called. A happiness sandwich is what it's called, but you don't really know what that is. So let's just pretend it's like a sliding scale looking, and it's got like a smiley face. It's got a bored face. It might have a sad face. It may have an excited face. It may have just pick it, right? And they're all emojis. So across the screen, as soon as that call gets done, it'll pipe it right into wherever you want it piped into, so you can see it immediately. And all you have to do is look at the graph for 2 seconds, and you'll know exactly what happened on that call. 2 seconds, you'll know. You don't listen to a thing. You just look at the screen that we'll set up for you. Bro, like you might think I'm talking about some craziness. And if you've never listened to this show, first off, thank you.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you.
This is not crazy. This is happening. Like, it is alive and well. And, at the end of the day, like, you will want to use this software because it's going to save your business. It's going to save you hours a day. It's going to take so much stress off of you that you're going to forget about a lot of these stupid things that you're doing right now. And depending on your brain to remember to do, I do the same thing. I get it. But the thing is this: we don't remember stuff well. If you don't write it down, if you don't have something like this software, it's really hard to get stuff done. This thing, it automates a lot of stuff for you. And you might think automation is ridiculous. You might think it's stupid or it's weird or whatever. And you can think that all day long. But I'm telling you right here, right now, that if you don't get on board with this AI stuff, you are going to be left behind. It is an absolute fact. And so I have inside information about this because of the people that I work with. And so I'm just telling you, if you haven't checked this out, just go to, all you got to do is type in Google search Jesus Chat, and I'm sure a million options are going to come up. This software is going to improve the customer experience. It's going to improve and optimize your sales process. And it's going to ultimately drive sales. Again, I'm just giving you like a very simple overview of some of the things this is going to be able to do for you, right? And you got to think about this. In today's world, in today's digital age, for example, customer expect instant gratification. We live in an Amazon world. Amazon has programmed every one of us to not buy anything that doesn't have free shipping. Right? I'm programmed, you're programmed, we're all programmed. Right? We just want the easiest, simplest thing. And so, if you're
and he said to you, hey, I got this idea, can you try to design
that fail to meet these expectations,
and it was as mad as that because
risk losing
and I'd never designed anything in 5 years.
your business to a competitor.
He had never designed a boat either. But he had this wonderful attitude.
Using this software will guarantee you that's not going to happen because it is so unbelievable. You got to provide a better service than what you're providing now. If you're losing customers, you got to look yourself in the mirror and you've got to ask yourself, what's the common denominator? Well, maybe you. I mean, you're the owner. Of course, ultimately, it is you. But it also could be that one of your technicians is burning leads, right? It's Friday. It happens to every company. You can circumvent that by using this software and tracking this stuff. It is going to give you such unbelievable, precise data. That's your data. That's your customer's data. So imagine for a moment that we can take every customer call, that those 8,000 customer calls, and read it, right? It analyzes them, and then we could spit out the most common things out of those 8,000 calls that the customers are calling in about. If they're calling in about repairing a dishwasher or repairing an automobile, right? We need to know that. And maybe the automobile is a stupid example. I'll probably cut that out. Imagine your company the size of Tommy Mello's company. Let's take Ken Goodrich. Let's take the size of his company. Ken Goodrich owned Ghetto, right? So Ken probably had 1,000 customers, or 1,000 employees, right? I don't know how many he had, but let's just say it's 1,000. And that means you probably got 500,000 customers or 100,000 customers, let's say. And it's hard to know what's going on in all those conversations because you're a busy dude. You don't have time to go analyze this stuff. You don't have the time really to even have too much of a conversation about this stuff. But you got to understand it. And when you find out how many things this thing is going to do, dude, it's going to be mind blowing. And so I'll give you a really quick example. So when you ask it questions, when you ask chat questions, ask it like a human being, right? And I'll give you an example. I could say, write me a blog article. The header's at H3. The text should be between 300 and 400 words per subject. I want you to act like what you would want to say. Here's how you would want to say, ask it a question. You would say, act like you are a master plumber. Say, act like you are a master plumber and write me the steps I would take to do a drain call, right? And so it would map out, and you could say service technician, you could say plumber. The more specific you are, the better the answer is. And so I'm telling you right now that if I logged in and asked it that, in fact, I could just do that right now. I can cut this part out of the podcast if I need to. But at least on the YouTube video, you'll be able to see it. So you should be able to see it now. Yep. Okay, cool. So act like a master plumber and give me the steps to execute a successful drain call for a plumbing company. Pretty wild, right? So it says, So here are the steps that he gives us. 1, understanding the customer's issue. Listen carefully to the customer's description of the problem and ask any relevant questions to get a clear understanding of the issue. Number 2, gather the necessary tools and equipment. Make sure you have all the necessary tools and equipment to complete the job, such as plunger, drain snake, and drain camera. Number 3, inspect the drain. Perform a visual inspection of the drain to determine the severity and the cause of the blockage. Number 4, use a plunger. If the blockage is minor, use a plunger to try to dislodge it. Number 5, use a drain snake. If the blockage is more severe, use a drain snake to clear the blockage. Number 6, use a drain camera. If the blockage is not immediately obvious, use a drain camera to inspect the inside of the drain and locate the blockage. Number 7, repair or replace the drain. Depending on the severity and the cause of the blockage, repair or replace the drain if necessary, as necessary. Number 8, clean up. Once the blockage has been cleared and any necessary repairs have been made, clean up mess created during the job. Number 9, provide advice and recommendations. Provide the customer with advice and recommendations on how to prevent future blockages. And then number 10 is document the job. Document the details of the job, including any repairs made and recommendations given for the company records. Dude, you can't tell me that is not the dopest thing you've ever heard. Like, that is insane. And it may not be exactly right, but man, can you think about that? I just asked it to create the steps for a drain call as a master plumber. And ChatGPT executed that. You could go look on YouTube, because I'll put this on YouTube. You're going to want to do that because it'll show you what I just did. So listen, dude, you don't have to get on board with this. If you don't, your business is going to suffer. Your life's going to suffer, and you're going to suffer, and you're going to kick yourself right in the ass because you're going to say, you know what, that dude, Corey, I wish I'd have listened to him. I thought that dude was full of shit. He knew exactly what he was talking about. And everything that he said was right. Because I'm telling you right now, that is correct. So, folks, I appreciate you listening. Do me a favor. Give us a review. Just go to the Apple Podcast or wherever you are listening to this show. Spotify, Apple, wherever, a million different places. And give me a 5-star review and just write a couple of sentences. I may have confused you. Hence why I said earlier, I should have had all this written out in ChatGPT and I wouldn't have confused you. However, the one thing that you need to really take away from this is that this is here to stay. You can either get on board or you're going to wish you had of. And we'll see you on the other side.